Hello everyone, this is John Ward with the Appalachian Channel, and I'm in Intercourse, Pennsylvania, Amish country. A little later in the video, we'll talk about how it got its name, but I'm here to document the old woodshed that was built in 1861 to manufacture wagons. But for the past 50 years, it's been owned and operated by Julie Lawson. We're about to go inside and meet her and let her tell you about the amazing history of this old building. All right, guys, we're inside here, and this is the owner of the old woodshed. This is Julie Lawson, and she is quite the historian. We're going to show you a little bit of video in a little bit. She has a historical meeting room upstairs and all kinds of books and history about the local area. So I'm excited to be here today. This building is absolutely wonderful. We love old buildings. We actually, if it doesn't have a wood floor in it, it's not of much interest to me or my viewers. They love buildings with original old floors, and the ceiling is absolutely amazing.
It is amazing. I love old buildings too. I always have, ever since I was a child. I never liked new things.
And so this building goes back to, your dad originally bought it in 1965?
About 1965 from the widow of the cabinet maker. And all the tools were left intact. The bandsaw, the jigsaw, the lathe, the planers, the drill presses, everything is still here where it was. We haven't taken out but one tool.
So we have something right here beside of us. This was an interesting area where all the belt-driven stuff, I guess a lot of the tools operated from that. But before the furniture was made, they actually made something else.
They made wagons here, and I do not have an example of the wagon. I wish I did, but I do not. I think it would be a little bit too far to say they were carriages. I don't know. Wagon is what we know of. It's a very, very old basement. It's still a dirt floor down below.
Really?
I never go down there. It's full of spiders. It gets flooded from the street, but when you look at the basement, you can tell. And the house next door, which also went with the building, you can tell it was a very old property because there's a fireplace arch in the house basement next door.
So let's go ahead and look at this equipment right here. And I noticed, did you put these posters on here originally?
We put those posters on originally. This lathe is older than the building. This would have come from another workshop, probably someplace where there was water. There was never water here except when it floods from the rains. But they had, I think, a hit and miss engine. And the hit and miss engine was back there. This is the end of the stock, so it's an 8-foot.
So I was talking to Fanny yesterday, and she didn't have an idea of actually how they made it operate, or what powered it, the belts. Do you have any idea?
Well, the belts go down to the floor. Every place you see a repair on the floor is where belts went down, and there's a whole system down there, and there's crawl space so you could get to the belts at half of the cellar. The other half is a full cellar. And you could slip the belts onto the wheels individually or all at once. So they say that when the tools were running, the whole building shook, which I have no doubt.
So they had to have some type of motor or something down there that made it run. We never did figure.
Yeah, the motor I think was up here.
A motor that...
Underneath this repair on the floor is a rock and cement. Why would you have a rock and cement in your building unless there was something on it that really chattered?
So they started in the early 1900s making the furniture, you believe, maybe?
I think the Civil War is
1800s.
further, about 1860, 1861 is what I think. I traced the deeds back that far, and I didn't go further than that. But they're two old roads, and it's on a corner, so there was probably something here before that.
Could have been a steam-operated engine, maybe, or something that turned everything.
It could have been steam, but you still need to have something to make the steam.
Right, a boiler and different things. So it might have been a big operation down there.
Next door, no longer there, was the blacksmith shop. So you had the wagon shop here, and you had the blacksmith shop right across the street from it.
So we see, like you said, there's different places that's been in the floor. Like right here's an example. So there probably would have been a belt that came up through there, maybe.
Absolutely. All the little places there are repairs or where belts went down. The planer is a Buffalo, New York planer. It's got it's a 30-inch planer, which would have been a good size for a tabletop.
And it was belt driven also, looks like, maybe?
Everything was belt driven.
About that.
Everything was belt driven.
So
the wood benches as we see here and here, and there's a third one over there. The wood benches were all along the west wall, taking advantage of the sun, of course, because they didn't have electric back then.
So they could see better
So they could see better.
So I see some old cabinetry here. Would some of this been original to the building?
No, this we acquired.
Acquired some of this.
Just because it's old and it looks nice.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. There's a time clock that was left here. I don't know the date of the time clock, and I never
Oh,
clock
wow.
it because nobody pays me.
How about that?
But it still works.
That's very interesting. So
It actually has an old card in here.
how about that? So yeah, talking about time clock, when I was here yesterday, right over here I have a question, and
Okay.
I saw this sign I thought was really interesting. It says, please keep off the benches during working hours.
Yes. Well, I guess you weren't supposed to sit on them. I don't know.
But it says during
They would've-
working hours, stay off them. Maybe, did you think that maybe people stayed here after work? And
I think this was I'm surmising this was a meeting hub for the town. Like I said, blacksmith shop across the street. This was the cabinet shop. I do know that the Intercourse Fire Company, before it was created, they met here and decided to create a fire company. It's in the charter. It hangs down in the fire company house down the street, and it says they met in the cabinet shop and formed a fire company.
so they probably come in and sat on the benches.
Yes.
Or they-
Now, getting back to the Horse Thief Association, in at that desk, I was told that the third drawer down the left-hand side is where they kept the gun.
So that's the original office, probably.
That's the original office.
Up front,
yes.
right there. We have some different things. It looks like it maybe was built onto. This was
added, the other section was added in 1976.
this section here.
We connected it to the house when we lived in, and then I could just come over from the house very easily.
Okay, so you lived next door at one time?
Yes.
Okay.
Next door.
Well, you have I didn't even pay attention to all the lanterns. I call them lanterns. What do you call them?
Kerosene lights.
Kerosene lights. So this is probably something that this being Amish country, a lot of the Amish would still use, maybe, or
I don't think they do anymore, but
at one time.
And it's amazing how popular these are. They're nice to have in the summer when the electrical storms come and you don't have power.
So how do you acquire these? Do people bring them in to sell this to you? Do you go to auctions?
Farmersville auction, Green Dragon auction.
And is that stuff that the local people bring, or just dealers go?
I generally just find it on my own. I've been in this town for 52 years, so in 52 years you acquire a lot of stuff.
I see you got it hanging up. Yes, you have some nice glassware here. This is interesting pieces here. Looks like it must be a special collection or something.
It is a special collection. These were some of mine. Those are called lusters, and they usually would put them on a break front or a mantle or on a dining room table in pairs. They're pretty prominent down in the South too. Like Charleston would have a lot of them.
Right. So
This is an old safe that came with the building.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How about that? That's a safe. I've never seen one like
Yeah,
that. What-
unfortunately, this side, it had a hiding spot for the key. See that?
Yeah. How about that? So the key would open it. So was
Yeah.
you ever able to open it?
We did open it. There was nothing in it.
Nothing in it. I know you was probably excited thinking you'd find something
I lost
interesting.
this key. I have not found this key in 50 years. I had it and I don't know where it is. I hid it in a really good spot. I don't know where it is now.
Well,
That came with the building. This would have been really a maritime safe. How it got here, I don't know. Where you see these safes, they are in maritime settings.
so let's see. There's a few other pieces I saw here that maybe is equipment. What's this piece right here, Julie?
That's a table saw.
A table saw.
And this is a table saw here.
Okay. Those pieces
Again, all belt driven. Here are the wheels on the side.
Okay. So how about we go outside and walk around just a little bit of
Sure.
the building and maybe show us some of the outside. And you have two major roads that run on both sides of your building, so
Yes.
that's quite an advantage for you, I'm sure.
Come on out. from here you can see the intercourse of the two roads. This is 772 on our left, and on the right is Route 340. You can imagine this was the hub of town back in the 1860s, or even earlier, because everybody uses these two roads.
So let's look right here. We've got 340 east and west, and then 72 west. So there's this 72 to my left?
This is 772.
So we come
This is
in.
Newport Pike. This takes you to Newport, Delaware.
So we have the major road over here.
Yep, and the major road here.
So right there they come in together. So you think that possibly how this area got the name changed to
I think it's the intercourse of the two roads. Across the way you would have the old hotel that was there when the people would come through with the Conestoga wagons. So I can hear someone saying, for directions, I can hear them say, go up to the intercourse of 340 and 772, and there's a hotel called the Cross Keys Hotel.
Okay, well that might answer some questions. So the property originally, you think the house next door was where the fella that made the furniture lived
Oh,
at?
absolutely. He just lived next door. There actually was a barn here, but we took the barn down because it was right on the edge of the road, and we could not see past it to get out of this intersection. We didn't want to be responsible for anybody having an accident. So we took the barn down voluntarily.
You got a walkway and little.
Those trucks are horrible, aren't they? Listen to them. They're here all the time. I've been here 52 years. It didn't used to be like this with these trucks.
So I see another door here. This is when you lived here, I guess, their access to go backwards
we just
and forward.
go in and
So I
out.
imagine you probably just rent the house now.
Yeah, I do. That's where the Arnell main is. The
So what year do you think the house was built?
I don't know, but it's got a fireplace arch in the basement, and the basement is the haphazard stone, whatever they found in the ground. You know, when they did the basement. So I would say probably turn of the 1800s. I would say. Somebody said it was once a log cabin. Could have been a log cabin before, but it's been changed a lot because it's been continuously lived in.
So this sign here looks like it's hand painted.
Yeah, I did that ages ago.
You did that?
Yeah.
You painted it?
Yeah.
Well, you did a good job.
Thank you.
You don't find, I do some videos on a guy that does hand painting still to the,
It needs to be done again. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's awfully hard to keep this building painted. It was last done 13 years ago, and I can't remember how much it was, but it was way, way, way a lot more than I can afford now.
well,
So,
I kind of like that vintage look.
I hope people do, because that's how it's going to stay. It's going to have a vintage look.
It's got a porch on the back. This is just really a big building, isn't it?
The picture that we have inside of the back porch is we're using the same piers in that picture. So this is exactly how it was. This is the same alley.
So it's got different meters. Was it separated at a different time for different businesses?
It was going to be, but then it never did. But you can see along the way here, it's getting rather dilapidated. Now, probably 35, 40 years ago, when we had this painted, letters appeared on the side of the building that you could see it had different advertising on it. I thought I had a picture of it, but I don't know where it is.
When they put the new paint on it, brought it out?
Yeah. No, when it started to dilapidate like this.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done anything to this side here, particularly this. This goes down to the basement, and look at that horrible hole. I haven't done anything here because unfortunately what's going to happen with all this truck traffic and all the farm machinery traffic, they're going to put a traffic light right in this corner. A traffic light. And they're going to change the direction of the traffic. They're going to make 772 one way between the bank and the elementary school, one way going east. They're going to reroute the people here and make them turn west at this traffic light. So whenever PennDOT gets around to doing this, and every year it's supposed to be this year, they will completely redo this. So I thought there's no sense I even try to repair any of that base, because they're going to have to do all this to get streets, sidewalks.
So this is the building that was the First National Bank.
Yeah, and then here was the blacksmith shop.
Okay.
And they took that down thinking, okay, at some point we're going to put the traffic light in. I think till they get the street in, they're going to be over this far. And it's not even going to line up. I would hate to see anything happen to it. I've tried to keep it intact for the last 52 years that I've had it. My husband and I have had it, but you know what? Things change and you can't stop progress.
So I noticed on those windows right there, those pieces of wood, you called them shutters, but it looks like they opened at one time.
They did open at one time, never while we had the store. I think that was his little tiny showroom. Then he made the showroom on the front porch with the glass windows and put shutters there and put his desk in there.
So I wonder why it would have opened. Do you think it opened from inside out so they could put merchandise or wood in and out right there?
No, they open out and the glass is inside. The windows go down to the floor.
Oh, okay, so there's glass in there,
Yeah,
and they can
there's
shut it
glass
to
in
keep the glass from getting broke.
Right. I'm just afraid when the traffic light goes in. I mean, look at this. Look at our little office sticking out here.
So was the glass like this on the front when you got the building?
That was here, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that looks like very old glass, and you can tell it's beveled on the maybe.
It's really old glass, and I try not to open that door very much because it rubs on the floor. Even though I've had the hinges changed a couple times, there's a piece of glass that broke out last fall. When I open this door, I have to lift up on it, and I'm so afraid it's going to break on me someday.
Right. So he probably displayed furniture in here.
Yeah. He just put like chairs and tables and so on. You had the general store across the street, and the horses were always tied up. You had the Saturday auction in the back. So this was the hub of the town. There's the hotel. The brick building was the hotel, the Cross Keys Hotel.
So that building there is probably fairly old. What year do you think it dates back to?
At least this old, maybe older. There was an older hotel than the one that's there.
Oh, they rebuilt at one time.
They rebuilt. All that would be in that book I gave you.
Okay, I think I left that upstairs.
Yeah, I'll get it for you then.
So this your property goes all the way, and you connected this.
Yeah, we connected it so I could run over from the house to the store.
So, did you paint this one also, this sign here? Is this one?
No, someone else did that.
Okay.
That one needs done too. I just don't know what's going to happen once this traffic light goes in. Like I said, you know, the state takes preference over anything. They'll say,
I think there would be some problems with the locals if they did anything to this building. To me, it has a significant historical value to the whole town.
Well, I think so too, but you know what? The world changes. I'll show you the windows here on the inside of this.
Okay.
Sorry, the office is a little messy. Can you see? The windows went the whole way down.
Oh, okay.
On all the sides. So all those shutters opened the other direction, and then he probably put a chair or a rocker or something. I know, it looks great, doesn't it?
It's got some of the original wiring.
We still use some of the knob and tube.
Oh, really?
I'll show you over here.
Okay, let's look at that.
I like to point this out to little children that come in. This is our knob and tube energized Edison light bulb. It's dusty because I do not touch it, I do not wash it, I do not dust it, I do not unscrew it to find out the date, which should be on the threads of the part that goes into the socket.
So it's probably late 1890s?
I think so. They put the electric plant in Intercourse in 1908. The electric plant was right across the way there. It was paid for by the man that had the store across there. Makes sense to me. They would have come straight through the store.
So the bulb's been there since your dad bought the building in 1960s?
Oh yeah, and I had turned that light bulb on and off every day for 52 years.
So that was one of the things I've heard about before, is that the original light bulbs never burn out.
That's it. Someone told me that it is a carbon filament in a vacuum and it will never burn out.
So they don't make them like that now because they want you to buy new ones.
No, they don't. And you can see we're still using that one.
Wow, that's absolutely wonderful. You still have some pieces laying up here?
These are rocker parts.
Oh, here's something I didn't see. What you got right here?
Oh, that's a drill press.
A drill press, okay. So
that's right where it was.
So you come in and use the tables and the benches, and here's another workbench. Looks like
another
right here.
workbench with a vise. There's another one over there. Here are parts and pieces left over from repairing tables. There's lots of table legs and chair backs.
Oh, okay. So those were pieces that were here.
More rocker parts. We tried not to sell anything that came with the building. We did one tool, and then after we did it, we regretted it. There was a stroke sander where the fireplace is. The stroke sander came out very far. It came out to here. That's what this big repair is. It came out this far. It didn't hold still. It wasted a lot of space. And my husband thought the fireplace would be a lot better there. So these are reused bricks from some other property. And he made the fireplace, which I still use.
I see that it's been used. You use it to heat with somehow.
Yeah. It just adds a nice atmosphere.
Absolutely. I like how we've got the original beams right here.
Yeah.
So
and then you see the parts and pieces, these samples of latches and knobs that they would have put in the furniture.
Oh, how about that? That's for the keyhole right there. And then we've got...
There's another one of the ends of the wood benches. And down here are the glue pots and the grease pots. I'm not sure if this was grease or glue. What do you think that is? Glue.
Glue.
Yeah, these are the glue pots.
How about that?
Came with the building. I know where all my stuff is.
Yes.
Except the key.
For the key.
Except the key.
So you came right here.
It stopped here, right.
And we can see that we have wider boards here, maybe 6-inch boards here. And you built
it stopped
this on,
here, yeah.
Right? So you had to expand a little bit to help you not have to go through
the weather.
outside.
Right.
To get to, so what year did you actually open the store? You opened it up as an antique store? Or
we opened it up as a store the way you see it about 1972. And now it's 23, so I think that's 51 years.
51. What type of work were you doing at that time when you started this?
Well, I'm actually a registered nurse who never nursed. I went to nursing school, I got my license, but our family did stores. And I enjoyed the nursing, but to me, keeping a store is like breathing. There's nothing to it. I like to talk to people. I like to buy pretty things. I like to keep the history going. So I love this picture of the back of the store with the workers in the back. If you can read it, it says Zook's Furniture Shop. If you can see the town of Intercourse, PA, see the S is backwards on the Intercourse. I guess that shows the education of the person who wrote it. But this was a postcard, and on the other side, the postcard was addressed to another Amish person in Belleville, PA. I do not have this postcard, but the person who does loaned it to me. 30 years ago, this postcard cost $125. There were so few pictures of Intercourse on postcards. They are collectible just like the money. There's Intercourse money, the First National Bank of Intercourse money. There's 20s and 50s. They're in the $600 and $700 range if you can get your hands on them. So we have a few things that are extra special in our town.
So what year do you think this was taken, the postcard, the picture?
It's got to be like right after the turn of the century, right after 1900s.
So the furniture store the owner, was he Amish?
He was Pennsylvania Dutch, probably. I really don't think the Amish were as, I don't think the Amish were as prevalent here until after the Civil War. And I would like someone to answer the question for me. And this is like how high is up. Did the Amish move into the farms when the people who were not Amish went to join the conflict, got killed, and the farms were sold? I think so. When you look at the old maps and who owned the land, you see names that are still English. After the Civil War, you see them starting to turn over to Amish. I think that's when the change happened. That's strictly my opinion. There's nothing based on that. Just my opinion.
But you've lived here most of your life. So.
Well, I lived here 52 years.
Right, so you have a little bit of experience on research. I see all your books you have upstairs. So you're kind of one of the local authorities, I'm sure.
Well, I like to think so, but I can be wrong.
Well, I really appreciate your time today. You've been busy with a few things, and you took time to show us around and talk about some things, and you gave me some things. I really appreciate that. I love this postcard that was probably printed maybe in the 50s, you said, that you gave me. Mm-hmm. You gave me another book right here, the commemorative anniversary. This was the 200-year, a copy, a reprint of the 200th year, but there's another one, 250 year.
Well, it has a little part in the front with an update, and then the original 200 is behind that. You'll find lots of information there, the fire of 1892, the Buzzard Gang and the Horse Thief Association. I think those are wonderful stories.
And you gave me this book right here, the Faces of Lancaster County. That's got, I appreciate that. This is a beautiful book with some beautiful pictures in it. Do you know if this was a local photographer that did this, or somebody that come into
I'm sure it was a local photographer. Schiffer Publishing is in Chester County. They do beautiful, beautiful books. If you ever get a chance to go down there to their store, go look at it. It's wonderful. And
then you gave me a DVD, and this is another one of the 250 year commemorative. What year would that have been, the 250 year?
2004.
2004.
So we'll be at, when we go to 24 next year, that'll be 275.
So this, we're talking about Lancaster or the...
Lancaster.
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 What?
Lancaster.
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 I ain't saying it right. Well, anyways, we've had a wonderful time.
We did have a good time. Thank you for coming.
And we hoping that some of our viewers will want to stop by and see you, and they can find you on Facebook. I think you have a Facebook page.
Yes, I do.
It's called The Old Woodshed.
Yes.
And Intercourse, Pennsylvania. So they can just type that in and find it. That way they can get your hours. Are you open every day, or?
Every day but Sunday.
Every day but Sunday.
Yeah.
And so it's coming summertime. And I know there are going to be some people who want to come by and stop and
see
the
men will come in and they'll see the tools and they'll love it.
Yes, guys, if you're watching, there are things for you to look at while the ladies shop.
Absolutely. I have to have something to pay the insurance on this old wooden building, which is 162 years old.
This is the oldest building we've ever documented that I know of.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. So we really appreciate the history and the culture and how you want to preserve it and keep it in, it's kind of its original state, and how you do have the room upstairs for the historical research. And so how many ladies get together once a month with you?
About 12.
About 12?
Actually, they're all men.
Men?
They're all men.
Well, how about that?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, if I lived closer, I'd come to the next one.
I'm sure you would.
And I hope I'll be able to come back in the summer, and maybe I'll get to see you again.
I hope so too. We'll see how this turns out. Thanks a lot.
All right. See you next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.